6 years that I've been here, and he got me out of a very comfortable position in Australia. I had a very nice position down there. Made me take on this one. It's been a wonderful gig. And so part of what I've been interested in is a kind of innovation spectrum, and what I've tried to do is sort of, really be a conjoint between joining the researchers to the funds, to making it all work. So the element of the alpha clinics is just one of these aspects that I had in my mind about 3 years ago, and really I talked to Bob about it, and he was always pretty interested in new things, and he thought this was good. But I had a concern. It's not coming out. I had a concern that what happened with in vitro fertilisation is René said, the NIH-funded researchers couldn't be part of the development of IVF. And I saw a big deficiency in that system in the US compared to where they could be in Australia and the UK and other places. So we kind of led the revolution, really, instead of the Americans, and that was an unusual situation. It gave me a chance to be king of the heap while all the Americans were tied up by really silliness in my thought about an ethics situation. Okay, I think we're underway, right? Sorry about that. But when you see, you can see this as a productivity issue. This is the portfolio of our translation and development program. And there is 90 projects here with a really major funding behind it. We've got 600 and nearly $700 million behind this, and this needs a place to go. And clearly, not all of the projects are going to get across the line in time. So I have big concerns about making sure that these can get to the clinic, but also, and I'm working on that with colleagues, that we need to find the funds to actually drive these through. So we've got to have a way forward, or these projects will die. I promise you they'll die. So one of the options was to set up a network of what I call alpha clinics. I call them alpha because I think they need to be set in the major institutions, because that's where the real capacity in science and in clinical medicine exists in the beginning, right? So you can figure out where those places ought to be, and it's very clear. Cedars, City of Hope, Stanford. You can walk through that and you can figure out where they should be. But I thought we needed this network because you're going to be dealing particularly with cell therapies. They really haven't been introduced in at least these complex therapies. There's some what I consider pretty ordinary studies in many respects with bone marrow, mesenchymal stem cells, aiming to trying to cure a whole lot of things which I don't think they can do. But if you really want some of these complex therapies that you've heard about today into the clinic, you've got to have the capacity to be able to deliver them. And you've got to have a place where you have a GMP facility, you have the ability to have your scientists introduce the genes or knock out the genes or actually, find the cell that you really need. You've got to have that capability in those clinics. Later on, I think you can spin out the beta and delta clinics because, as it becomes accepted and the work becomes robust, it can happen that way. So this was the basis this is the discussion I had with Bob. And so we sort of talked about a nebulous 70 million to do this. How do we get that figure? I don't really know. I think it was just, we thought that sounded like a good figure. But, and then it carried on when John Thomas joined. So I said, look, I've got these interests in taking getting this alpha clinic set up in California to provide us with the ability to deliver these stem cell therapies. So this is the basis for the alpha clinic. Have the capability, have the scientists, have the clinicians, have the real infrastructure around you to do the job. It will be really, really effective if you do that. So why, hold on, whoops. Why am I not going forward now? Yeah. Okay, so CERM is a unique influence in California. One of the unique parts is we got money, so $70 million will actually keep people's attention. So I can actually get Herb's attention from fishing and Eduardo's from something else. I can get their attention because, we've got funds, and if we want to drive this, California is the stem cell state of the world, and it ought to be, and it will continue to be, in my own view. And I wanted to have an RFA, a release to draw in the people who would be interested in participating in these alpha clinics, to ensure the essential factors were there, and network the program, because I think we need to learn from one another. I don't think we have to duplicate these kind of things. I want to foster collaboration between essential partners, and Sandy Williams and others will recognise how important this is, but we got to work together. And you've heard we work with the UK, we work with Germany, we work with China, we work with all of the top scientists all over the world, and we've been able to do that because we've had this outward vision. And I wanted to see independent counsellors come into these networks that could help the patients who are quite desperate for treatment, who will go to Panama, to China, to places where there are being advertised services which are unscientific and unregulated. So let's help them go to the right place. So this was another core element of what I had in mind. So this is what we're doing. It's showing you we're going to take, the mission is to create these resources, know-how and efficiencies to accelerate clinical testing and delivery of stem cell products. And they're products that have come through, we would embrace them as well. So, the focus in the first part is to drive these clinical trials for patients to generate preliminary evidence of therapeutic benefit. And you've heard that. That's what we're doing with these independent projects, as you've heard today. But we need to be able to advance the therapies and deliver them to the patient, and facilitate all the commercialisation of the therapies, because it's required to have that. So we need to facilitate that. And if you've got a network, you'll do that much more effectively, and enable business model for stem cell therapies to be established. And it will be taken on by the rest of the nation, I assure you. Will be taken on by our collaborative funding partners all around the world, and we will have seeded the revolution that Bob thought about with the scientists of California when he initiated this crazy Proposition 71. So HIV/AIDS, as you heard, is critical. We want to cure HIV/AIDS, but we have a number of programs, and I draw your attention to 6 of them. So there's not just one, there's 6, and they're looking at different aspects of this cure. And so we've got several programs. That one of them's already actually recruiting patients, and the other one that Paula Cannon described to you, headed by John Zire and Sangamo, are going to come in next year. So that's a second approach. And then we've also got an approach for killing off those infected cells using the very smart CAR technology that's it's evolving, I think, as a beautiful way to clean up a very untidy situation in patients, both in cancer and in infection. And so these have all got to have places to nest, right? There's not one project. There are 6 of these, and at least 4 or 5 of them will have to go there. So eventually we need to be able to have these treatments as shown here, whether it's really by short hairpin RNA and blocking fusion, or whether it's by zinc finger nuclease technology as shown on the upper panel there. And we've also got to probably have a way to clean up these cells, because if those 2 things do not clean up the cells, we need something to get in there and take out those infected cells. We do not want a reservoir in these patients. And I think we need to take these things much further. So we want about clinical trials, we want about delivery of therapies, we want to collect the data and information to help one another, to have a resonant experience of how to take these cell therapies, because these are new, these are all new, and we need to learn, we need not to be making mistakes that our colleagues are making. We do not need the Geron situation of 1,000 boxes of stuff that's delivered to the FDA. We don't need that. We need to learn from all these things and incorporate that in our knowledge base. We need to inform the public, and I think this is a great way of doing it through this network. And we need to figure out the healthcare economics, and that's going to be crucial for the sustainability of these networks. So the alpha clinics, in the first place, we decided we would sort of seed up to 5. I wanted 6, but they thought, well, 5 in the first instance. And these will be to conduct clinical trials, have patient education and counselling, delivery of approved therapies. And so those will be sited in different parts of California, one hopes. And they will do either specific things or generalised things. We're going to have to review this. So whatever comes forward needs to be good quality. As usual, we never fund stuff which is not really good science. We're not on that. The basis of what we do is good science. And so if it's good clinical science, we hope that we'll get behind those projects that are put to us for those sites. And it's, Pete Coffey describes the program with Mark Humane, but there's a whole lot of others. In the eye, for example, you've got the cornea, you've got retinitis pigmentosa, you've got the diabetes-related problems in the eye. These are all targets for cell therapies, right? Just not one. We need to be able to embrace that. So if there was a clinic, maybe it is focused on the eye, but it needs to bring all of those in. And so that's why we need these kind of things. And just to show you, this is what we're actually funding at the present time. We're working on corneal damage, we're working on retinitis pigmentosa, reprogram iPS cells, embryonic stem cells for the macular degeneration, and so on. So, you know, these are all growing in our portfolio, and they need a place to reside. To be able to run this network in a sensible way, we decided we need a coordinating and information management centre, and we're going to invest in that. And this will have the whole idea of sort of the overreach, collaboration and training, counselling services for clinical, regulatory and biostatistics and patients registry and database, and a healthcare economics component as well. So that's where we're going to put in this central core. And it's really to help the whole others and be really well informed. And if business wants to come into this network, this would possibly be a good way to enter the network. The internet advertising, I said, for unethical medical referrals needs to be stopped. And this is one way we can do it. You can do it by penalising them, but you also need a carrot. It's a carrot and a stick that will work, I think, here, and you're going to need it. We're going to have to help people. Don't go to the internet. Come and see our alpha clinics. And the counsellors, independent from the clinicians, will advise you what's the best where to go in our network or somewhere else, somewhere overseas perhaps. So this is the way it will be configured. You'll have that. They'll have the clinics themselves and our part, and they'll be connected with together and also together with that central agency. But so you can see, is my last slide here, we are going to the clinic now, and you've heard about heart disease, cancer eradication and control. You know, these are tremendous projects. They're on their way. They're going. This is what we're actually doing. A cure for HIV/AIDS, I believe it will be a cure for that disease, and if we don't get it with our first go, we'll get it with a combination therapy. The retinal cells for blindness, it's absolutely there. We're on the go. A solution for type 1 diabetes, I'm absolutely certain that this is going to happen. There's going to have to be rejigging of it slightly as we move down, because, you know, who knows, that capsule might need to be formulated slightly differently, because you don't want to be a letterbox if you want to put 12 on you. So you maybe need to refigure some of that, but that's what the company knows what it needs to do and is going there. But what's coming, I think, is incredible. First of all, there's global haplobanks of iPS cells. A few hundred of these cells, of these haplotype cells, will cover 80% of the world. 80% of the patients in the world will have histocompatible cells, pluripotential stem cells, that you can drive into whatever you want to drive them into. So we need to get together, and I'm certain that that's what we need to do with CIRM, is to link together with people around the world, Japan and the UK and France and Germany and China, all wanting to do this, put this together. It's a very interesting possibility for enabling cell therapies to really boom sometime in the future. There's development of human organs for replacement, and we were at a conference yesterday. There's a scientist coming to Stanford who's going to wake up the world, in my view. And he's got a way, I think, there's a lot of research to do, but he's going to be in a position, I think, to seed something which is going to be just absolutely fantastic. And we heard about that story. There's one of the leadership people that we brought along with Pete Coffey from overseas to come into California. It's going to be a real buzz. There's direct reprogramming for tissue repair, and it's very clear that's on the way. It's going to take years to get it in shape, and it won't work for absolutely everything, but it's certainly going to work for something where you'll be able to change a cell in the heart or change a neurone from being one thing into another. And so this may repair tissue without having to take the cells out and expand them and actually put them back. This has happened because we're funding this kind of research here. Activated T cells, the surveillance in the body for cancer and infection, it's coming, it's on the way. It's there, we need those vigilantes in our bodies to stop these damn cells from getting away from us. It's not just okay waiting for chemoradiotherapy. We got to be sorted. That's all coming. And eradication of HIV/AIDS. I say, if we have a cure, from whatever I do in the future, I'm determined to see if we can get this to go in vivo so we can take it to Africa. There are 30 million people in Africa with HIV/AIDS. 17 million of them are going to die. We need to get this out there. We've got a great start here, Paula and her colleagues. We need to make sure we can go out and eradicate this disease. And, when you think about CIRM being a sort of catalyst for all these things, by gosh, it's been a fantastic trip. And I think not only what you see now today, but what you can expect in the future is going to be magnificent. And I think, Bob, the revolution is on. It's not done yet, but it's on. And we're never going to go back to the time before 2004. Never, never, never. But I hope we all work together around the world, and as I go somewhere else, then I'll make sure that I enjoy everybody I know to work together. So thank you very much, and good luck to you all.